Catherine, you play Rabbi Fine, and the thing that I find fascinating about that, because I mean, you're the rabbi, you're the one that everyone goes to, whether they're spiritual or not, whether they're practicing or not, and yet you're not Jewish.
I was raised Catholic. Yeah. I mean, we were saying. Oh,
I should talk into my. Excuse me. I was holding like this. I've done many of these. So so this was a whole lot of learning for me.
I mean, did you have to go, did you go to school?
I did not go to school, but I did meet with this amazing rabbi at Powell, Jill's, Susan Goldberg, who's at the Beverly Wilshire Temple in Los Angeles, and she is just a rad, incredible human being, and she's a mama. She became a rabbi much later. She was a modern dancer. She's just an incredible mind. And we spent a lot of time together.
And the other thing about your character, and I was lucky enough to be able to see all of season 3 because I got hooked, I got sucked in,
so
and your character is like the opposite of you, like you right now. We got to spend some time together, not like.
He's heard me belch a few times.
No, I didn't. Hey, I didn't
put all your business out. Saying that your character is very buttoned up, and so how does it feel to be such a free spirit and free personality to go wedge yourself into this very reserved, strict character?
I mean, this is what you dream about as
an actor, for sure. Is
to be able to. I'm just going to project.
Sing out, Louise.
I'm going to sing out, Louise.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Oh God. I'm usually, for sure, the hurricane, I think, in the roles that I've been able to do, but thank you. But yeah, so for sure, I've learned so much through Raquel. Just stillness. She made me so much of a better listener, I think. Yeah, I love her deeply, deeply, deeply.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to skip Jeffrey because, and Trace, your character, which again they saw episodes 1 and 2, but I implore you to watch the other episodes, but particularly it's episode 6 that you're in, but you've been in previous episodes, and I have to ask you. And I'm trying not to give anything away because it's such a powerful scene. So I'll just go 30,000 foot level and ask you what it's been like to, one, be a trans actress in Hollywood, and two, what it's been like for you to be a part of this show.
Well, when I started acting years ago, in 2008, my first acting teacher told me to not disclose to anyone my my gender history, and that's what I did because there was no work back then for trans actors to do trans roles. I mean, we had a glimmer of hope with Candace Kane on Dirty Sexy Money, but other than that, there wasn't much. I mean, besides being murdered or shoved in the toilet or whatever. So I just followed her instructions, and I landed a couple gigs, but I just didn't feel whole. And I think Orange is the New Black hit, and Laverne was a good friend of mine. We've been friends for over 10 years, and I just had this revelation within myself that I needed to live in my truth, not only for me, but for other people. A girl was murdered in Harlem, where I live. Her name was Elon Nettles, and she died a block from my apartment, and it shook me to my core. And it was really a sign for me to just kind of snap out of it and take the steps that I needed to make to stop compartmentalizing my life. Because at the time I was a stripper in New York. I worked at Scores, and so I was what we call stealth. So I didn't disclose anyone my job, and it was just like a means of survival for me. My passing was a means of survival. And I guess, what is that saying about the chick that has to hatch out of the egg. You know, like the risk became too great to stay in the shell, and I just, you know, I had to break out. Not just for my sanity, but for all trans people. And the time was right. And Laverne took me to an LGBT acting class in New York, and it was my first time being out in an acting class, and it was really healing for me. And I purged a lot of stuff, like my sex work history and my survival and my, you know, being estranged from my blood family and finding my chosen family and financing my acting classes, you know, through sex work, and just really hitting rock bottom and, you know, finding my way back up. And so being a part of Transparent it's everything for me. It's my peace, it's my purpose.
How did you find out about the role?
Well, I originally auditioned to play Davina, and I got a call back. They flew me out, and I read with Jeffrey. And actually, Alexandra Billings was my scene partner in one of the workshop days that we did prior. And then she snagged it. And then Jill wrote me and was like, "Hey, you're great. Would you consider being like a friend, you know, doing a guest spot or whatever?" And it started with one episode and turned into 2, and then season 2, and now 3. So that's how it happened.
And so Jeffrey Tambor, how did you find out about this role? Which is a pretty extraordinary role.
Yeah, but if you don't mind me, I think I have your engineer.
Handheld for you.
So much. You know, before I answer that, I just want to say with that, with Chris's talk just now, that's the revolution. There's really nothing else to talk about. We can talk about the funny stories on the set, and we can talk about craft service, and I threw myself at Jill Soloway, but this is the revolution right here. And I think I would be very happy if I were the last cisgender male to assay the role of a transgender woman on television. The revolution is here. It's time for, if we have producers out there, or if we have people, it's time to, her audition was sensational. That's why you got called back, because it was wowie zowie. And wowie zowie? I'm so hip, wowie zowie. You know, prior to my coming here tonight, I walked in the door. That's why I'm scanning, if you're all looking, because I'm looking for my 2 friends who came up to me you don't have to do it, who came up to me in the lobby and told me about their child, their young child, who had the courage to go to their parents and say, I want to transition. It's a young child. And so, they said that it helped and Transparent helped, and to be part of that is huge. It's everything I ever thought that acting would be. So that's what's going on. I mean, with this whole thing. And so I want people to start writing roles for Trace.
She's so remarkable.
You know,
Episode 6, remember.
episode 6 it's wowie zowie. Anyway, did you want to ask me something else?
Well, the original question was just how did you find out about the role?
My agent said, read this role, and what, you know what else is cool? They threw, the NCAA threw, they're not going to their own. So it's here. I read the role, I went, oh my God, Jill Soloway, and people want to say, oh, did you walk up some reporter said, did you have a conversation with your family? No, I threw myself at Jill Soloway. I thought I was going to do Lear at the end of my career, but apparently I'm doing Mora And it's a better role.
Right, but Jeffrey, and so you read this, you get this script, and you read this script, which is unlike anything that's been on television or in movies.
Yeah.
And you've been in television and movies for a long time. So you're reading this script. I mean,
Just
in
a long time, not a long,
You've been a part of our lives for, anyway. But then you read this role. What did you think when you read that role?
I said, this sounds like my family. And West Coast Jews from San Francisco. I read it. It seemed real. I remember the time when we were all sitting around and doing the barbecue scene. We had barbecue sauce all over, and I said, well, there's a genius, and there's a genius, and there's a genius. So everywhere your eye rests, there's a genius holding down the fort. What fool would turn this role down? You know, and Jill Soloway is the alchemist of the world. She's great. I still haven't answered your question, I know.
I didn't, you know, I'm just going to move on to another question. And that is, so you're playing Mora, a 68-year-old, well, that's the character.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the character, 68-year-old who's transitioning. And to watch your character from season 1 to season 3 is remarkable. And I kept wondering, how did you prepare for this role?
It's a hard question. You would think that it would be, I would get tripped up on the accoutrement, the wig, the mani-pedi. By the way, a mani-pedi is a great thing. And the high
You
heels
never
and
had them
everything
before
like
this
that.
role?
No, but I had one with my daughter, who was 9 years old on the set. And I don't know many dads who got that honor to have a mani-pedi with his
I was
daughter.
also stunned that nail polish was so cheap. That's what I remember at first.
Yeah.
I was like, you
Oh,
can
it's
get
like
a ball
$90.
for like $7.
So what was the question?
And remains, how did you prepare for this? How did you prepare for
Oh,
this,
so,
this role?
long story short, that wasn't the part that tripped me up. The part that tripped me up was the inside. I remember the moment my kids didn't come out with me when I went out to LA, and so I had to prepare alone. I don't think you guys even know this. And I did a table read, and the table read was great. And then we had about 10 days. And I was alone for 10 days without my kids. And I was walking around my little apartment in some shifts and things that the costumer gave me, Marie Schley, the great Marie Schley. And I was scared stiff of doing it badly. I was scared stiff of not getting a bad review or not getting a C- or 4 apples or whatever the new way of criticizing is. But of not doing it right for the community. Of not doing it right. And when you and I had to do our scene, my hands were really, really, really shaking. But so does Maura's hands. And so there's a built-in thing with Maura. Maura doesn't know how to do it quite yet, although she's made her decision. I have made my decision to do Maura, but I don't know quite how to do it. And so it goes hand in hand, and it's great when the hand shakes.
And is it true that you took Maura, the character Maura, out on a test drive?
I did. Yeah.
You know, you
I took her to Gelson's in Los Angeles, one person. And I remember going down, and I said, well, I'll take her out shopping. So I took her shopping, and I went down an aisle, and I was going up and down the aisle. And you remember, I'm still, I don't know quite how she looks, I don't know how to, and someone stopped me and looked at me. And that smirk on that person's face was so nasty and so just full of hatred. And I don't know if that person recognized me as Jeffrey or as who clocked me as trans, or whatever that was everything I needed. Because I went, that's what that feels like. And that will give you impetus to get up every morning and go to the set.
And tell the story about the airplane incident, where the man
I know what the story is. Where the man... Well, no, it's the revolution, but I want you to ask them questions. Okay, a man came up to me and he was all zennied and sort of Braden Carter and sort of hair going like that. He was Braden Carter. Anyway, and it was all becuffed and bejeweled and zennied and haired and peaked and everything. He went, you, stay right there. And I went, well, here it is. That guy's gonna lay me out. Stay right there. And he came up to me,
Very
and
entitled.
his, what?
Very entitled of him to
I
tell
thought
you.
you said Mary Tyler Moore. Very Mary Tyler Moore. Anyway, and he very entitled. And he grabbed me and said, thank you for teaching me something I had no idea about. Thank you. That's the revolution.
And so with this revolution and in these roles that specifically you two are playing, what have you learned about transgender issues, about this world as a result of your role? The things you learned that you didn't already know, things that opened your eyes, particular themes?
But the funny thing is, Jeffrey always wants to share the wealth, and we just want to sit and listen to Jeffrey talk because it's so amazing and entertaining. I think, like Jeffrey referred to, I think one of the hardest things to realize is we work in a utopian set in a lot of ways, where there is so much love and acceptance and truth-telling and hand-holding and support and love. And then things will get said when we talk to the press that make me burst out into tears. And particularly, and what I think this is just, I feel like the world is very unfair to unattractiveness, period. I feel like if you're attractive, you can be anything you want. You can, we'll all support you. If for some reason you're not, our idea, I think that threatens people's, if you don't fall into our gender idea easily, if you cross lines, I feel like people behave very badly. And I hear things that are said to people that I love, that I care about, that are like family to me, and it is infuriating. And so when like Trace is talking and you're just sort of interviewing and everyone's listening, it's like our hearts are breaking, to hear what she had to do to pay for her acting classes. There's no jobs, there are more now, but there's so much discrimination if you're not stealth, Alexandra Billings, who couldn't be with us today, said in an interview, like, oh, this is my last lesion from when my last breakout of HIV was, and people used to not touch me. Well, she's like one of my, she's like family to me. That kills me. So I think what you learn doing this show is, that the world is incredibly cruel sometimes, and it is so important that we tell these stories, because honestly, if you get to know someone closely, it's like every other civil rights revolution in history. It's about telling stories. It's about knowing someone's story, and when you know someone's story, you can't hate the same way. You can't separate the same way. There's this commercial about acceptance where they show people kissing behind an X-ray machine, and you don't know if they're male, female, black, white. There's nothing but the bones, and I think we just get so wrapped up in the exterior. And anyway, that's been what I've taken from this, is just that I'm very fortunate to live in a liberal enclave, and that's not the reality, and I better get out there and work on making that the reality.
Amazon has the guts and the courage to pick this up, and they picked it up fast. Joe picked it up, he read it, and he went, let's go. And that's what's so good. You speak.
Yeah, I think millennials want smart, socially conscious art that is in feeling. And what's going on with streaming right now, I think, is feeding those minds, because network TV can't go certain places, and I feel like Amazon is taking the risk and it's paying off. Look at the critical acclaim.
Where do you want your character to go next?
I would love for Shay to have a backstory, to see you know, what she had to go through and how she ended up the end of episode 6 with that you know, that explosion and why and how and what led her to be that. And because there's a lot of prejudgments that happen with trans women, and what we do to survive in this world. We've been pushed to the margins for so long. It's easy to judge us if you don't know us, and it's easy to judge me, you know, even, and I have it so good compared to a lot of my sisters. So I think that a backstory would just kind of educate a lot of people. Yeah.
The power of, and I feel bad about talking about a scene no one has actually seen, but how much of that scene was your character, Shay, and how much of that was Trace?
How do I not spoil the scene? It was, I pulled a lot from my real life, yeah. It was deeply painful and hit home for me, which was kind of a gift on set that day, you know. And I think that Jay felt it, and it helped him too. Yeah, it was more me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's an adage in acting that is quite beautiful, and the adage is you're stuck with the character, but the character's always stuck with you.
Yeah.
And that's true.
So will your characters ever find peace, happiness, even for an afternoon, maybe? It's a great show. Everyone is like drama every 30 seconds.
There's a thing in this family, and it asks the eternal question: if I change, will you still be there? Will you still love me? And that's every family, whether it be transition. We were just talking about our families and the changes in our families, and the huge changes that are happening in our lives, and will people still be there? And that's the big question. So I don't know about happiness. I'm a Russian Hungarian Jew. So that's off the menu for me. That's not part of the deal. Go ahead.
Well, Jill always says too, I mean, I think all drama has conflict and all comedy has a great narcissist at the center. You know, I mean, you watch the Seinfelds, the Curves, the Louis. It's not funny to be well. Nobody wants to be well. That's not funny. You know, I mean,
There were moments when I thought, wow, they're like, this is like, in terms of the interactions and where people's minds are, very Seinfeld-esque.
yes, because it's like a slice of life, but it's also like, you know, I think that we always feel like if we get there, the series is over. You know, we don't want you to stop. Like once we're well, what else do we have to find? You know? So I do feel like this season, and it doesn't feel like maybe you felt that way, but you were like jamming it down fast. But I think there's a lot of light stuff this year, lighter than season 2. And I do think Jill wants some buoyancy, but I think we also have to continue to fail in order to keep telling stories, you know, and keep. It is very funny. It's funny when you watch it in a larger group. I mean, the first episode this year is more like a poem and feels very thoughtful, but there's a lot of raucous stuff that happens, you know, the rest of the season. Yeah. So I think part of the term, I think also Jill finds like bad relationships hysterical, and really, you know, they endlessly entertain her. How many ways can you screw this up, you know?
And so I think we're running, because I don't want to keep you away from, how much time do we have? An hour. Okay, so.
No, we're.
Okay, so I want us to go just down the line.
She went like this.
Yeah, she went,
It's this. It's not this.
well, it's better than this.
This means.
I got what you meant. Chrissy. So, real quickly, from season 3, what was your favorite scene? Amy.
You saw it. I loved the monologue at the, one of these things that happens sometimes when Jill's on set is she goes action, she rolls, and then we start yelling lines out. Like she'll yell stuff out. So she yelled out Jurassic Park, and I added the like, ah! And like, and it's like I'm playing with her. So that was like one of my favorite. And anytime Laura Milton Kaufberger is there and Raphael, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. They're the funniest people to be around. So I had a great time.
Catherine, your favorite scene?
Yeah, there is like a kind of a sex scene gone wrong that happens that I also was really amazing and hilarious and difficult to shoot, but I loved doing it alongside Amy Landecker and Lynn Cantor.
We did a savior scene at the end, and it was profound.
One of the first scenes we shot for season 3 was playing sardines.
Oh yeah, that's so fun. Oh, that's episode 3.
And I just was like, I'm getting paid to play sardines with Angelica Houston. What is my life right now? So yeah, that was
Your life is great right now. Grace, Jeffrey, Catherine, Amy, thank you very much.